Hello students, welcome to the YouTube channel of Sanskrit National Model School. Myself, Abhay, Daithankar, your maths teacher. And in this video session, we are going to discuss about the decimal numbers. Actually, we have seen about the decimal numbers in the fourth standard. In the last video session, we have seen about division of fractions. In this particular video, we will see how actually we convert a fraction into decimal and decimal into fraction. We have actually seen these things in the fourth standard, but let us take a recall about what is mean by a decimal number and how to write a decimal number, how to convert a fraction into decimal. For that same purpose, I'm going to share my presentation. Okay, so what is decimal number actually is? Now you will be able to see there are two friends. One actually Jonah and Josh. Actually, what is the weight of Jonah? 38.8 pounds. How many amount of paisa she's having in her piggy bank? It is 7 rupees 65 paisa, or you can say $7.65 pennies, or we can say $7.65. And how much is the distance of her house from the school? It is 2.25 miles. On the other hand, to Joshua, the weight of Joshua is 45.6 pounds. He's having $3.40 in his piggy bank, and he lives at 1.75 miles from the school. Now you will be able to see what these numbers are called as 38.8, then 45.6. Basically, these are called as a decimal numbers because these numbers are actually written with a decimal point in them. Now we have seen what is mean by actually the decimal numbers, where actually we find the use of decimal numbers in the day-to-day life is about writing the rupees and paisa separately. We have seen about this in fourth standard. So let us see how the decimal number is formed. What are the different components of the decimal number? Well, decimal number, actually you will be able to see there are three components of the decimal number, three parts of the decimal number. One, it is the whole part or whole number, which represents the whole. For example, if you are saying that 23 rupees and 60 paisa, it will represent 23 whole rupees. And then we are having a decimal point, and the decimal part or the fraction part or the fraction part of rupees or fraction part of anything is separated, and this is known as a decimal part of the number. So decimal number is going to have three parts. One, which is whole part, another a decimal point, and third, we are having a decimal part. So decimal numbers, actually they can be greater than or less than 1. For example, here 23.6, whether it is greater than 1 or less than 1, definitely we are having whole number as 23, so it is greater than 1. Actually, how we are going to represent the decimal numbers, how the decimal numbers are represented, how they are converted from fraction to decimal, we'll take a recall of it. Now there is a square which is divided into 10 equal parts, and we are going to shade 4 parts with the red color. Now what fraction of the square is shaded with the red? The shaded part of the fraction is 4 out of 10, and the decimal representation of 4 out of 10 is 0.4. So how the decimal of the fraction is shown? It is shown as a 4.4 out of 10, and it is written as a 0.4. The red section which represent 4/10, we call this as a 4/10. So you'll be able to see how to write a decimal number. Basically, we are not completely shading the square; we are shading the part of a square. How many parts we are shading? We are shading only 4 parts of the square. And this is a fraction part actually. This fraction is represented as a 4 out of 10. Now we are writing the numbers. For example, I want to write 252. Yes, I can write this as like 252. But if I take, suppose, this 252 whole squares, and I want to show this fraction also on this number line, either I have to show like this, 4 out of 10 parts. So this actually is the fractional representation of the number, but I don't want the number to be represented in this way fraction. I want that the number should be written in the straight line. Now how to show this 4 part out of 10 part in this particular number? For that, what we are going to do, we are going to put a decimal point, and yes, 4 out of 10 part we are writing after this decimal point. So if we are taking 252 such squares and we are going to shade them, and this next square we have shaded 4 part out of 10 part, then this number is represented as 4 out of 10, or we can write as a 252.4. So or singularly, if you consider this we are taking a whole, and yes, we are going to shade a part of a whole. Yes, 4 out of 10, and the fraction 4 out of 10 is represented as, you can see how many zeros are there. Yes, 1 0. So how many decimal places should be there? So 4 actually should be after a decimal point. And what is there before 4? Actually, before 4 there is nothing, so we put 0 over there, and we represent 4 out of 10 as a 0.4. Okay, next we will see next presentation. Here you can see that there is one square which is actually divided into 100 equal parts. and the entire square is shaded. You can see that this complete square is shaded. Now, how to represent this square or shaded part of the square? Well, I will say that yes, 100 out of 100 parts of this particular square are shaded. We represent this as one whole. We represent this as one whole. Okay, so we represent this as a one whole. Then, if I take one part out of 100 part, how the one part out of 100 part will be represented? Then, actually, one part of the whole part we are representing 1 out of 100. This is known as 100, and in the decimal form, we'll write this as a 0.01. Now, why 0.01? Why we are taking this 0 additionally? Because actually there is no 10th place or 10th part of the square. You can see we are taking 100th part. So this particular decimal we are putting on the next place. As you can see, how many zeros are there? 2 zeros are there. So actually there should be 2 decimal places. As before, one we can write how many number of zeros, any number of zeros we can put, and yes, as 2 zeros are there, we are going to put a decimal point over here. So 1 out of 100 actually is written as 0.01. So in this way, we are going to represent the decimal number. We'll see some more examples pictorially in the next video, and we'll see about what is mean by like and unlike decimals in the next video. Till then, goodbye.